from the Steel Twins recording studio in beautiful Traverse City, Michigan. It's your boys, the Cannonball, the Cannon, the Steel Twins. What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday night. It's your boys, the Cannonball and the Cannon.
That's me.
That's it. So it's Wednesday night. You know, it's voice acting time. We thank you so much for joining us. You know, we got a couple of minutes before the stream starts, but we were so excited we couldn't wait.
Yeah, I couldn't wait either. So
you know, who knows? Like, what might happen is we get through this introduction part, and then by the time the actual stream starts, you know, people will start filing in. And, you know, the movie started and they'll be able to take their seats and eat their popcorn.
Exactly, yeah. So
that's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Yeah, and if you come early, you come early. You can chat with us for a little bit.
Hey, we're welcome welcome to have the company. So,
yeah, of course.
So
now, I'm looking at the stream and there's a name of Cursor Leg.
That looks Finnish in origin. I am not sure. For all we know, it could be a bot, but nonetheless, we have gained another follower.
Right.
So thank you very much for that.
Whoever that may be, thank you.
All right. So, yeah.
We do have a viewer, though. I think it may be you.
It could be.
You want to check all the windows?
Yeah. Let's see if... oh, yeah. We do have to click on Windows here. Click...
That's number 20.
Oh, God, you're right.
So you better refresh.
Yes. This is why we're doing this, because then, okay, live.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. And then...
Now we got to get to the Twitch thing, and then the tube view. Remove that window.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's live. That's number 20. Yep, live.
All right, excellent. Yo left, right, left.
Mm-hmm. What notifications do we have? Never mind.
That's different.
Derp.
Looks
like Scott and Alex liked our post,
our initial post. So at least they're aware of the fact that we're starting.
Yes.
So, all right. So everything's up. I'm probably going to land here on the Facebook because if anything, you know, our old friend Scott Ryan might be the guy to drop in on us. So, folks,
before I do, hang on a minute.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's a couple of things we got to do. What are we looking at here?
Well, I just gave you a share.
I appreciate that.
And a like.
Again, I appreciate that. You see, there's nothing quite like family. Yep. We just need to have a picture of Vin Diesel's head, and the joke's complete. So, one last final thing, we're going to a Michigan favorite.
Briz, thank you for joining the chat. Oh, hey, it's my favorite streaming twins.
Hey, buddy, you're just in time. So, yep. If you're in the state of Michigan, you know the staple of Faygo. This is cream soda. They also have Red Pop. They have Moon Mist, which is a Mountain Dew knockoff. So, folks, it's about that time. If you have a cap to your bottle or a pin to your drink, go ahead and pull that pin back or twist that cap off. Hey, package. What time is it?
It's time to get bombed, son.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cream soda. My favorite.
Yep. It's going to make us a little gassy, though.
Yep. But it's worth it. So totally worth it. Now, the video we are about to pursue, well, grab your popcorn. This is going to be some dirt, nose sniffing, dirt digging, and some...
I would join you, but I'm recovering from gallbladder removal surgery, so I'm technically gassy too. Oh. Well, we hope that everything goes well for you, sir. I don't know if
brother.
I don't know if we know this person in real life, but that's cool. It doesn't matter if we do or not. So, okay, let's fire this thing up.
All right, then. We live, fam. Live and
in public. Yep. Come on, fam.
Well, that's a friend request, but we don't even know what that is.
That's one friend request. I don't know what lots is.
It wasn't.
I got this, I'm in England.
Okay. No, you don't know me in real life. I'm in England.
Oh, well. Evening to you. Evening, early morning, because like, what do we got? Like a
9-hour time window.
9-hour time window. Anyway, we're going to the investigation part 2, the return of the great departed soul.
Lock 'em, load 'em, ladies. It's go time.
12:30 in the morning. Holy smokes.
Yeah, top of the morning to you, lad.
Or top of the evening.
23rd of October, 2:41 p.m. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy.
Let me just say, you the man, Briz. You the man.
But it's summer solstice and that sun's only like set 2 hours ago. Oh, this room, it's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar.
I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you'd left it. But it has been some 6 months, it's true.
So is your father all right, Susie? What happened?
My father?
Yes, Professor Mikatoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason.
That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised, but happy.
I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that.
Well, we're all delighted to have you back.
It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium.
Oh, the International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned.
Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris.
Oh, remember that? She was supposed to explain... She was supposed to explain why she knew about Iris's story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. It was not supposed to be public knowledge, so we get to find that out. You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan.
Yes, of course, I shall.
And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma.
Oh, boy. I know. I'll tell you all that I can. Well, talk to her.
Let's talk to her.
Spill the beans, lady.
Back in Britain.
When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely.
The awful trial? Oh, yes. For the murder of Josiah Brett.
Ooh, you pressed us a man then, didn't you, Susie?
Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice.
Yeah, what a case that was.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing! I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Reno?
Yes, I suppose so.
I want to play being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe.
I don't think any mustache can hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Miss Sato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikatoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
That's right. The very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it.
And the bloodstains.
It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet.
Why would that be then? Stay tuned.
Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets.
Susie,
Uh-oh. That's a very meaningful look Sasato-san's giving Iris there.
All right, then. Forensic Science Symposium.
Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium, too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jikogu have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe.
Well, Professor Mekatoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say?
Yes, His Excellency, Judge Cicero Jikogu. You met him, Mr. Naruhodo. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder.
Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days.
Well, it was Judge Jikogu who presided over that trial.
If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face again in my life.
Oh, well, anyway, as father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end, he agreed to me going on ahead.
Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important.
I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General.
The most senior position in the British justice system.
He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently, it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition.
Does Professor Mekatoba know Lord Strongheart personally then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen to much of it.
I'll try for you. All right, Josiah Brett.
Oh boy, a name I'll never forget. Josiah Brett. A woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongfully accused of a crime I didn't commit.
Wrongly, but yes.
The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, Josiah Brett. That's a name I won't forget as long as I live.
The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget.
Sorry?
Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an English woman by the name of Josiah Brett didn't actually exist.
What?
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 I know the names are usually puns, but I don't quite see it in Josiah Brett other than Jezebel Brett.
Who knows? Only sort of sounds like that. I'm not sure. Wait till you find out what her real name actually is. It'll be even worse. Didn't exist? But how can that be?
It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin, and she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front.
A front? Who on earth was she then?
Miss A. Shin. Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her.
A. Shin. Well, so he's beating the game. He knows what happens. Okay. Well, for those that are watching and haven't beaten it and don't want spoilers, just sit tight. Anyway,
nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. Mum's the word. It's a complete mystery.
But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to?
I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand.
Now she's been killed, while all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered.
I'm afraid so.
A. Shin. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere?
Remember the four names?
Remember those four names that cropped up at the end of the last game? Okay, what about Kazuma? Uh-oh, here we go.
After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on, in that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never...
And he got his ass kicked.
Yep, and he got thrown away.
Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama.
What did you learn?
After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there.
Should have been?
Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared.
What? What? Disappeared? What? Kazuma's body vanished?
Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except, Kazuma-sama isn't there.
Did Professor Mikatoba know about this?
Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak.
I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Remember when he met that apprentice in Lord Van Zeke's office? How he knew, how he might have seen somebody before?
Oh, shit.
Anyway, the Kazuma mystery. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Buria were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be that he's actually still alive?
Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to...
Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he?
Huh.
And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly.
Ah, you're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us.
But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing.
I suppose that's true. Yes.
The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it, because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what that might do to me.
Oh, Mrs. Sato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Sato-san we're talking about after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Bless her several layers of socks. I wonder if that's what it is. Let's see. I can't present... Okay, let me see if I can present something. Let's see what happens if I present this.
This was used to shoot down the balloon, wasn't it?
Yes, with a flaming arrow. Quite a formidable weapon.
I'm quite accomplished with a longbow myself, you know.
No, really?
If you were to balance an apple on your head, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm quite confident that I could hit it from a good 50 meters away.
Quite confident, you say. Does the apple necessarily have to be on my head?
Well,
Okay.
no. Okay.
All right, let's see. About this paper, Mrs. Sato.
Yes, it's all about the great exhibition. I've been dreaming about it, you know.
I was sorry that you were going to miss it when you were called back to Japan.
So was I. I felt desperately unlucky. But here I am, back in London while it's underway. It's a dream come true.
Perhaps you're not as unlucky as you thought then.
Once we've helped Professor Hairbrain out of this terrible situation, we should all explore it together. And of course, we must invite the Professor's good friend, Lord Van Zeeks, as well.
Your luck might not stretch that far.
I wonder what the story might have to tell us.
All right, we're probably going to examine something.
Yeah. Oh. Got to talk to Susie now. Well, Iris, yeah.
It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I call it The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it.
So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie?
Yeah, we got to get this.
Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it.
That's where the record scratch comes in.
And he would tell me how you'd come to know it.
Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. The Hound of the Baskervilles. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study, and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles.
What?
My Baskerville story?
Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Susato, what are you doing? Oh, Father!
Did you look at those papers?
No, I simply read the label, that's all.
Well, put it out of your mind.
Sorry?
Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand?
Ooh, there's that same thing. But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan?
I have no idea. But when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. That's one way to make a girl forget.
Yeah.
When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still, I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you.
Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie.
Well, I guess that's out of the way. So, Miss Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well.
So, you're fully abreast of the situation already, Mrs. Sato. I'd expected nothing less, to be honest.
I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick.
Yes, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic.
Then we need to go and arrest him.
Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really do need to find the man.
If It sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police, or a great detective.
Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of?
I believe so.
We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think.
Good idea. Well, best of luck then.
Oh, you're not coming today?
I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you got on, won't you?
Ah, Brixton Road, where Miss Green lives. That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. All right, well, let's let the story tell us what we're doing, but I think we're moving.
Yep, we're moving.
A new location has been added. So we're going to so I guess we're going to prison. Da-da-da-da-da! Charge!
What is he
How's
doing?
he doing?
23rd of October. Local prison. Cell 11.
Pi squared cosine. What's he doing?
Brixton's a bit of shithole nowadays.
Oh, yeesh. Sorry to hear that.
Oh my! The whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations.
And he's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt. London's Bronx. Ah. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. Huh? And who is this young lady?
My name is Susano Mikotoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor.
Oh, if only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner. None of this would have happened. No, that's not logical. That makes no sense at all.
Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you.
I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning. No. The whole miserable affair, it all happened because I've been such a complete and utter clot.
Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell?
Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had to hand. Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe? Say that 3 times fast. No, actually, this is my autobiography.
Your autobiography?
How I was oh no, okay. How I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain. Oh my god, that's awful.
Oh my god.
Oh jeez, my buddy Scott would have a field day with that one. Speaking of which, do we have activity on the other channels? That sounds even better in a German accent.
No,
I mean, Albert was actually, I believe Mr. Hairbrain, how I was diddled and fiddled.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal, though. This fine fellow is actually born and raised in Britain, so apparently that's how the story writes him, anyway. But
Yep.
yeah, I get it. I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers in an ambitious set of simultaneous equations.
Oh.
What did he say?
Really?
I'm gonna have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. So it's going to be a new serial publication from next month. Part 1, an odd birth, an odd upbringing. You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case? Oh, yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled. I was fiddled by the pair of them. By Asmund and by that aloof engineer Drebber. We're not going to have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we?
Oh, I sure hope not.
Yeah, I don't have the attention span.
Well, let's talk to him then.
This morning's trial. Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Asman, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even. I'm sorry it's come to this. There was really no other way. No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public.
No, of course you didn't.
But in court this morning, I realized something. Oh? If you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you were aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me.
Oh, Professor.
He believed in me this morning, you know. Barrick did. He believed in my hypothesis. Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case. No, Barrick wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it. Did he? I think I understand now why it was he decided to take on the prosecution in my trial, I mean. I wonder why that is. Van Zeke's motivation. After the terrible accident happened, nobody would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even. I feel like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there. So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Barrick, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense.
And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor.
Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Barrick insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish. You think that's why he... I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul.
But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he?
Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it. And what about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? Alright, well, at least we kind of know why Mr. Lord Van Zeeks was the way he was. You think he set out to trick me from the very start? Mr. Asman, we mean. I'm sorry to say, that does seem likely, yes. When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused, he was so emphatic, but in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems. I still can't believe it.
As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic, it probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually.
But the scale of it wasn't just some small trick. It's a very elaborate feat of deception. All young scientists are full of hope about their burgeoning ideas, full of zeal, but none of us have any money. We want to do research, but we can't afford it. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try to earn just a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that, only to be taken for a complete fool. It's too rotten to believe. It is. I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asman is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer.
Mr. Enoch Drebber.
So, Drebber the engineer. Is he an engineer, or a magician, or a swindler? It was about a year ago when Mr. Asman first brought Drebber to meet me at my laboratory. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the kinesis machine. but at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist? Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation. I see.
But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Are there no more clues you can give us as to his whereabouts?
I'm sorry. We only ever discussed the kinesis machine. Nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop. What workshop? Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory, where he constructed my great machine. Why didn't you mention this before? Enoch Drebber's workshop. There's every chance we might find the man there.
Well,
Okay, Drebber's workshop.
spill the beans.
So you've been to Drebber's place of work then? Yes, just once, you understand. It's an enormous place. Plenty of room to construct a kinesis machine, you see. Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance that we'll find Drebber there. Well, yes, definitely, I'm sure. As in, I'm sure you're not gonna want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry. I was more than half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there. He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances then. The place was incredible. The pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. That might be important. The indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget their secret formulae and use that instead. What do you think, Miss Sato? You'd owed a machine for your next birthday?
I've never used any kind of perfume, Miss Neurohodo, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card for Mr. Drebber, for example.
The man was clearly very cautious, Mrs. Sato. I'm sure he never would have. Aha! Yes, I do! He gave me his business card once. It's right here. Look! What?
Let me see that!
Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you?
Enoch Drebber, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says. There's no address.
No. Oh well, I can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could be useful. Oh, you have no idea. Drebber's card has been entered into the court record.
Mr. Enoch Drebber's business card, though it shows only the man's name. There's no address. Oh, yeah? Let's look at it.
Just take a look at it. So, all right, let's see here.
Whoa,
There's
what
a
the
stain
hell?
on the back. This dark smudge here.
I think perhaps it's machine oil.
Ah, yes, possibly. Professor Harebrain mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported, very high-quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain.
Yes, that's right. But more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. So, excuse me a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all.
Don't worry, I expect that's just because there's such a tiny amount on here. Details of Drebber's card have been updated in the court record.
There is a smear of machine oil on the reverse.
Interesting. I wonder if there's something we need to present.
What about if he smells that oil?
Well, he can't. Well, Sasato just tried to smell it. I guess we're moving.
Well, then, where are we going?
I guess we're going back to the Lord Chief Justice's office.
All right,
For
then.
some reason.
All right, remove what?
Uh-oh, who is that?
23rd October, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office.
I volunteer Courtney Scythe.
As you wish, then I'll take Enoch Drebber.
Okay. Unless you want to switch later on.
Well,
Screw it. Let's keep going. Oh! Who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart?
I wonder. I've never seen her before.
Ah, the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result. Oh, you mean because of Professor Hairbrain's experiment? Sham science being demonstrated at London's great exhibition. The country's been made to look foolish. Now politicians are scrabbling to respond. Lord Van Zeeks is in Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. A special dispensation that prevents investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, my forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time. Scrap metal? It's scrap metal now, is it?
Until later then, Lord Strongheart.
Yes, thank you. Who was that? Who was that? That was Dr. Courtney Scythe, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading the forensic investigation team's handling of this case. She was just delivering her report about the victim, in fact. Oh, I see. About Mr. Asman. Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to reevaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her directly. You'll find her in the forensics laboratory. Ah, right. Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time. So he's not running quite so spectacularly late anymore.
Well, talk to him.
Let's talk to him quickly. What exactly is the forensic investigation team that you mentioned before? The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace forensic science and everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago now, unofficially of course, to pave the way.
Goodness, a year ago?
At next month's symposium, I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensics division. And once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly. What do you mean? For too long, these scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes. But London's scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell. I intend to see to it personally. By creating the finest police force the world has ever known to protect our honor and our future. Look at those eyes. He means every word. Dr. Scythe is an extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensics division at Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikotoba.
Oh, yes, my lord.
Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way to here to represent the Empire of Japan.
Yes, that's right. I understand he will arrive at the beginning of next month.
Are you acquainted, Longstrongheart? With Professor Mikotoba, I mean. It was many years ago now, but yes, I remember Dr. Mikotoba very well. Dr. Mikotoba. If my memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Britain as a visiting student.
It was the year I was born. So yes, 16 years ago, in fact.
Mikotoba was a young practitioner of forensic science, and Jigoku accompanied him as a young, promising judge. The punctiliousness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly. Not that I wish to imply impoliteness or carelessness on your part in any way. I didn't think that you were. Dr. Mikotoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Scythe was also there then, as it happens.
Then Dr. Scythe knows my father, does she?
She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly, but I've no doubt they knew each other superficially. After all, Dr. Mikotoba was here studying his subject for some 6 years in total. 6 years? It's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it?
I lived with my grandmother in those years.
So he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years?
It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Oh,
Perhaps father wanted a reason to get away.
what do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. Well, back to Lord Van Zeeks. I wanted to ask you about Lord Van Zeeks, actually. I heard that his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as the Professor, who targeted nobles and royalty. Is that right? You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well. Yes. And you could say it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper. What? Why? When his brother, Clint Van Zeeks, was murdered, it was just after young Barrack had graduated from the University of London and become a prosecutor. When obvious criminals who managed to evade conviction in court started disappearing, rumors quickly spread throughout the capital. Londoners started to say that wherever Barrack Van Zeeks went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind. Whoa.
Oh my word!
So, Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper. It's the ghost of his brother? Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles. Oh yes, Lord Strongheart. Go ahead. It's about Professor Harebrain's experimental machine. We'd like your permission to examine the remains, if possible. Are you well versed in science, then? Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently. Well, the special dispensation legally preventing investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Scythe's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation. And I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing. Thank you! Being able to look at it's better than nothing.
And I'll be able to see it too.
Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. My next engagement calls.
We are extremely sorry to have troubled you when you are so busy, my lord.
I have important matters to attend to in preparation for the symposium, you understand?
And
There he goes. All right, well, what's next?
Where now?
A new location has been added.
We're back
We're
to
going to
the forensics lab.
laboratory.
Da-da-da-da-da,
Charge! Woo. This is a little creepy.
23rd October, forensics laboratory.
I believe this is it. Dr. Scythe's laboratory. That chemical smell really assaults the nose. There's plenty to assault the eyes in here, too.
It looks as though the doctor isn't here, but we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think?
What a seasoned tourist you've become, Mrs. Sato. You could just have a little look around. Be careful not to upset any restless souls. Well, let's look around. What's the... Okay, what is this here? Look at this big, thick book here.
Oh, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think. Oh?
What is it?
It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, one entry seems rather strange.
Really? In what way?
They're buying 500 scalpels every month.
What? But 500? They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses.
I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. And scalpel blades can be sharpened too.
It does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be using all of them for?
Well,
It could be a funny thing.
What are you doing?
Ah! Sorry, we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so...
So you thought you'd snoop around? That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want?
Lord Stronghurst told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Asmon's body, I mean.
so we came to ask you about your findings on Lord Strongheart's advice.
Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when we're done, you must leave immediately.
All right, let's
Talk to her.
So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene? The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Asman who appeared moments later, partway up the Crystal Tower, were without question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion.
But that can't be right!
If it was an elaborate trick, you can only speculate about how it was carried out.
Let's see. If two people who looked very similar to each other were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they?
Very true, but sadly in this instance that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident.
Fingerprints.
They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system. But one day, they will be used as an investigative aid as a matter of course.
Oh my! But that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So, where does that leave us?
I don't think that's the truth at all.
My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions.
Huh? Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. This hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more of a mystery.
Mama, what is that?
Where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama?
This is a lawyer, dear. Oh,
Hello. To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer.
Mama? Yes? Can I cut this one up?
What? What?
You've never seen inside an Eastern person before. You want to know what it looks like. Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see. Boring.
I think I just had a near-death experience.
Oh dear, Miss Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse.
And let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Let's get the fuck. Let's get the fuck out of here. Okay, so we're back. So we're going back to the experimentation stage. Whew, boy.
Get the hell out of here.
23rd of October. The Great Exhibition Grounds, foot of the Crystal Tower. Oh, look at this little guy.
I had no idea there were so many people in the world.
I know what you mean. It's really packed here today.
It feels as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds to this point.
Has it? I shut my brain down so I didn't really notice, to be honest.
Gosh, I do wish I had your absence of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruhodo.
There you are. I had a feeling you lot would show your mugs before long.
Oh.
There you are. Thought you had a feeling I'd show your mugs for so long.
Oh, Inspector Gregson. I see you're hard at work as usual.
Long greetings to you. I do hope you've been keeping well since we last met.
What's with all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this morning.
No use, Sunshine. The gentlewoman's so loyally at your side. Oh! Why, thank you, Inspector. How good of you to notice.
He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. As you probably guessed, we were hoping to investigate the scene some more.
Right. Well, that's the young Chinese domain. Oi! Get over here, Gina!
She seems to be busy playing with a puppy, probably giving it a traditional East End training.
Gina? She's a police officer now?
Amazing, isn't it?
She's a good cut, actually. Hat's in the right place anyway. She's got the detection bug, if you ask me. Yep, I think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely.
What do you mean?
I'm being transferred. It's time for me to say toodaloo to London. Oh no! Really?
That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you going to be posted then? We'll come to see how you're getting along.
Not likely. But you're welcome to try. If you don't mind, I took to France, that is.
France?
I'll be working on the Paris Police Prefecture. Should be right up my alley.
But France? It's an entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there?
That's the way the adult works, Sunshine. Now don't go poking your nose in when it's not wanted. I'm intending to take the kid with me when I go.
What? You're taking Gina to Paris?
Well, I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what would become of her?
I suppose he's worried she'd slip back and slip in her hands in people's pockets and purses.
I don't think he's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruhodo. I think he's worried about the Reaper.
Oh, of course. So that's playing on Inspector Gregson's minds too, isn't it?
Anyway, you haven't mentioned any of this to Gina, so don't go blabbing. You hear me?
No, of course not.
Got to keep that diving diva safe and sound. Until all this is over, at least.
Oi!
Oi, did you just call me a bloomin' diving diva again?
So you heard that, did you? Right, well, any questions about the scene, you can put them to my keeper Detective Diva here.
There he goes.
Alright, you heard the boss. Inspector Lestrade's in charge here now.
I suppose I better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. So, Gina, you've got a new dog, have you?
Isn't he great? Toby's his name.
Oh, how delightful! He's absolutely adorable!
Yes, the dog does seem lovely. It's not so lovely Inspector Gregson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. All right, let's talk to her. Investigating the scene. Gina, we were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again.
Yeah, alright. It's around here, you can do what you like.
Oh, that's all right, is it?
I'm gonna be playing with my new friend here.
Ah, yes, Toby. We'll just let the dog do its own talking.
The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume. I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind.
Sorry, I can't go up there, Suze.
Oh,
Like I told Otto yesterday. Even I ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it? The special...
The Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Is that what you're thinking of?
That's the one. That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? The forensic something?
The Forensic Investigation Team? Is that what you were thinking of?
That's the one, yeah.
but isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted?
Think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with ya. It's still supposed to get permission from some bigwig or other, as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something?
I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps.
That's the one, yeah. Apparently he's always watching the time or something.
Actually, we've just recently been to see Lord Strongheart.
Hey, you what? You met him? Last time the boss was called to go and see him, he waited for 3 hours at the Cubs office and came back sniveling.
Tragic.
Well, Lord Strongheart has given us permission to examine the scene as long as we touch nothing.
Oh yeah?
Honestly.
Alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'll be the boss who gets it. He'll never eat another chip again in his life. So, you're still saying all this above board, are you?
I'm sure everything will be fine.
That really would be tragic.
Alright then, them's the stairs, off you go.
Oh, thank you, Gina.
Let's talk about today's trial.
It was great, wasn't it? I had a right laugh. It was a new one on me, that. You know, being in court and not spending the whole time worried I'm about to be found out.
You did keep an awful lot of secrets in all your previous court appearances, didn't you?
Yeah, and Otto's made things out for me every single time and all.
Just doing my job, Gina.
Watching someone else get in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. It was amazing when you showed that dodgy professor's dodgy experiment was a total fix.
The dodgy professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruhodo's client.
Yes, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though.
The boss I feel sorry for. Sent off to do the impossible.
What do you mean?
He's supposed to arrest her at a cove, ain't he? And in time for tomorrow and all. You know, a dodgy engineer. What was his name again?
Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber.
That's the one, yeah.
Well, the police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. Guess they would be.
Putting him much on the boss, if you ask me. He says he's giving him gut ache.
Oh dear, but I do wonder if that isn't actually from all the fried food.
That's a good. The engineer's whereabouts. So Scotland Yard are trying to track down Mr. Enoch Drebber. I wonder if they've had any luck.
He's really funny looking. Got 2 eyes what don't match. Stole a glimpse of a picture of him earlier.
I mean, I didn't actually pinch it or nothing. The old devil's got it.
Sorry? Who?
You know, that scowling reaper what's always glugging down glasses of that blood-red plonk.
Ah, Lord Van Zeeks.
He's always had it in for me, that cove. Don't know what he's always scowling about, mind. Probably would have been a pretty good boss as it goes.
She'd rather be the Reaper's apprentice than a detective's trainee? The way I see it, if the choice is between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-glugging demigod, you're equally badly off with both.
I suppose you're right. I ain't thought of it like that.
Glad we put that one to bed.
Anyway, the point is, everyone at the yard's dead set on finding the fishy engineer. There don't seem to be no clues to go on. They're stuck.
There's nothing that can lead us to Drebber at all? Yes, there is. Just wait and see.
Yep.
Toby the dog. Where'd you find that little mutt then, Gina?
Boy! Don't be so flaming rude, Otto!
Slight overreaction, don't you think?
He ain't no mud, alright? Toby's, how they put it? Oh yeah, a bona fide detective.
Sorry?
I'm giving him a proper title and everything. It's Chief Inspector Toby to you.
More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he?
Ooh, so he's a police dog, is he?
The police recruit dogs now?
I've heard that they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing.
That is true.
He is Fozzie Woozy or Jiggy Scoomy Boo Boo.
Yep, I don't want to boop the snoot so bad. Anyway.
They're used for chasing criminals and such like. They have a wonderful sense of smell after all.
I have a fairly good sense of smell myself, as it happens. I can tell undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't. Okay, Runo, how the hell do you know that?
That's nothing compared to this little fella, Otto.
Oh, really?
According to what a boss said, once Toby here's got a good whiff for your drawers, he could chase that scent to the other side of the world.
What? To the other... He's no mutt, he's my fucking baby boy. To what? To the other side of the world? You mean he can swim?
Mr. Naruto, I think you may have missed the point by rather a wide margin.
Again. I just can't believe this little dog has such an incredible skill.
I'm telling you, Otto, there's gonna be more and more dogs doing their bit for the police in future.
Yes, I agree.
Right, one of these days I'll be back in orders with us lot, not the other way around.
Oh dear. Sorry, Gina. I don't think I agree with your vision quite that much.
Well, anyway, whatever you think about that, Toby is Britain's first police dog. I found him down the East End the other day. Somebody just chucked him out in the street.
There you go. I knew she'd lifted him from somewhere.
Oh, Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and to animals. Well, what do we do now?
I know exactly where we're moving. We're going... Okay, no, we gotta examine, and we're walking up the stairs. These stairs lead up to the experimentation stage. Let's go and see what we can find out. 23rd of October, the Great Exhibition Grounds Experimentation Stage. Look at the size of this thing.
Oh my! So this is the machine that was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis had taken place.
Yes, that's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It's a little worse for wear at the moment.
What extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrain went to in order to obtain the research grant.
Oh, no, the professor was tricked as well. He didn't know anything about it.
Yes, of course. It is amazing though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is so very British.
You're right about that. You'd never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure.
Oh look! Is that...
Yep.
Lord Van Zeeks?
So, think we're more or less done here, aren't we? Shall we, Miss Sato?
Already?
He is the Reaper, remember? We'd do well to keep our distance, I think.
But we have permission to be here, from the top. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine, as long as we don't touch anything.
From the top? You mean Lord Strongheart?
Exactly. So we can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like.
She could have been at the center of the explosion here. It wouldn't have bent her steel will. All right. Well, let's talk to Barrack then, or Dracula. Least approachable man in the world winner, 10 years in a row.
Be strong, Mr. Naruhodo. Your country and your assistants stand firm behind you.
Lord Van Zeeks.
What?
Well, beautiful weather we're having, isn't it?
I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently, you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs.
Oh, I read them.
So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited.
Well, the thing is,
Lord Chief Justice Strongheart granted us permission to investigate, on the condition that we didn't disturb anything.
And yet you've managed to disturb me. Never mind. State your business then.
come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Van Zeeks about. Not least of which is that awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this.
Ask away, Mr. Naruhodo. You won't know unless you try.
Your brother Clint. Strap in. So, Clint was the name of your older brother, I understand, Lord Van Zeeks.
You Nipponese. I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So, you've been investigating me, have you?
Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, all right, it is a bit like that.
My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Van Zeeks family. But tragically, a vicious killer took him from us.
The professor, you mean? Is something funny?
That's the extent of what you discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised.
Sorry? There's more to it then?
Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it?
Ugh, you're too kind. Are you gonna tar all Nipponese with the same brush next?
So tell me, what's your interest in that historic incident?
As it happens, Lord Van Zeeks, there is a rather curious case that's come to our attention. Are you aware of the Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxwork by any chance?
I am, naturally. I believe that since last month, I feature in one of the displays there for public scorn.
Of course the infamous Reaper of the Bailey would have to be exhibited, wouldn't it?
Well, a particular waxwork has been stolen from the place. And held for ransom.
A particular waxwork?
Wait, you mean...
Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating the case as we speak.
I was unaware of that.
He's turned as white as a sheet.
Enoch
Drebber. Are the police trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Drebber, already?
Surely that goes without saying.
We're very keen to see him found as well. The trouble is, we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier.
Which, according to Professor Hairbrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has straight white hair and wears a black monocle.
So, I was just wondering. I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but,
We'd very much appreciate any more clues you can give us.
wow. Sato-san really knows how to take the bull by the horns.
Fine, why not? I have a photograph of the man here from an investigation 10 years ago.
Charming fella.
Though it appears he already had that black monocle at the time. What?
Oh, no, nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us.
We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow, which means we have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available. So why wouldn't I show you the photograph?
What is it about Lord Van Zeeks? Sometimes I just can't work him out at all. Photograph of Drebber has been entered into the court record.
Photographic print of the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber. It's hard to make out, but he appears to be wearing a monocle with black glass.
The file I requested for the trial tomorrow. Thank you.
Are you all right?
Who is this man, Mr. Naruhodo?
Lord Van Zeeks' apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Sato-san can see it too.
Lord Van Zeeks, may we speak with your apprentice for a moment?
With him? Why?
Turn.
Kazuma-sama!
What? Hold on. What? He turned.
Kazu.
I don't believe it.
Your posture, your presence. It can only be. It's you, isn't it, Kazuma-sama?
He says nothing. I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure. As if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Kazuma? Okay, we gotta do this again. What the heck is going on here? What? Wait! Too late.
What's going on here?
Your apprentice.
What is your interest in my apprentice exactly? You act as if you know the man or something.
Well,
Since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago.
Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now, with instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor.
but he didn't tell you why, did he?
The man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself.
He has amnesia?
Tomorrow, he will appear in court at my side.
What?
He's to serve as my judicial assistant on Lord Strongheart's own orders.
Oh, how bloody convenient.
Convenient indeed.
Yeah, no kidding. He'll be in court with us?
Now then, unless I'm much mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course.
Oh, yes, thank you. I definitely saw a reaction there. When Susato-san called out like that, it really seemed to hit a nerve. When she called out Kazuma-sama.
Oh my God. Well, what are we looking at?
I mean, let's take a look. I gotta wash that off. This wasn't here yesterday.
Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air.
That's right, the bird cage. According to what Professor Harebrained said in court, it's made of wood.
Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been in an explosion and then fallen from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Miss Naruhodo?
I'd understood that the forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they'd finished their work.
But sadly, not with the body inside it.
No, that's right. I know we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still, this is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. The bird cage from the machine has been entered into the court record.
Wooden cage that was used for Professor Harebrain's experiment. This cage with the victim inside crashed down to the crystal tower.
Now, how the heck are they going to lug that big-ass thing around? I mean, they don't have a backpack or anything,
No.
and everybody's going to catch them when they start walking around with it.
What about a crane?
I guess, I don't know. All right, let's take a look around at all this stuff.
What a terrible explosion it must have been. Even the steel girders have buckled and twisted in the blast.
And what they called the bird cage was right in the middle of it all, just here.
But look, Mr. Naruhodo, that metal grill on the floor. Looks as though it's designed to open.
It does, doesn't it? The floor had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred. The bird cage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight.
I don't think there's any doubt that this was a very elaborate hoax, is there?
It looks like we're done here.
You'd already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes. Yesterday, in fact. At Lord Van Zeek's office.
I see. And if Kazuma-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us.
I know. We're gonna need to speak to him about that.
You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems.
What sort of problems?
Foreign affairs problems.
Well, we could do without that. All right, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Mr. Sato.
Of course. Well, where to?
Well, I guess we're back at the base, I suppose. Now I've got an idea. I mean, part of me wants to present the card, but I wonder what the story wants us to. It is going to present the card. So, hey, sniff this out, why don't you? About this, Gina.
Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble.
Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important.
Aye? How come? It's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all.
It turns out that this is very high quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently.
You don't say. Let's have a whiff then. You sure? I don't smell nothing.
No, we didn't mean that you should smell it.
Oh, right, you mean Toby.
His sense of smell is so good he could track people over the oceans, can he?
Professor Harebrained informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Trevor's workshop.
He's just dog sniffing it. Uh-oh. I think he's picked up a scent.
So you mean if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy cop's workshop?
That's right. That's exactly what we're hoping.
Alright, then we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that.
What? Wait, when did you... once a pickpocket.
If I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week.
Oh, yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted.
Poor Gregson.
Right then, Otto, leave it to me.
Sorry?
We're gonna get going after that dodgy engineer cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time.
I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina.
Oh, right. Oh well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets it in the neck. It'll be the boss.
Poor Gregson again.
Ready, Toby? Got that oil son, have you? Come on then, boy. See you later.
There they go.
I do hope the scent of that oil leads them to that swindler's workshop.
Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Okay. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber.
I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months.
Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful. You're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit.
Yes! Iris told me all about his latest unusual venture. Let's
Well, what are we waiting for?
go. Da-da-da-da, charge!
Da-da-da-da-da, charge! 23rd of October, Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxworks.
Oh my! No wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home via the confectionery.
Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that.
But you know, there's something about that waxwork over there. It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very last detail.
Aha!
What is it?
Oh, sorry. I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork himself.
Ah, the friends of my dedicated employee.
Oh, yes. Hello again. It's Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
I must say, I am quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs.
You don't mean...
But yes, the mystery is solved already.
Wow. Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough.
So as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties.
Yes.
His habitual duties? Hello? Do not disturb, huh?
Okay. Poor Sasato-san. She looks very perplexed.
He blinked.
He bleeped? What?
He blinked.
Oh, he did blink.
What do we do now?
Let's click on the... Ah, yes. The heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you?
The sign says it's a Madame Tuspel's special exhibit. It seems you have to pay extra to go inside.
I know. Can you believe that? Pay more money as if we haven't been scared enough already.
It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo.
Alright, well, I guess we're going to talk to Mr. Sholmes then.
We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I am longing to say hello again. But where is he?
I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually.
Oh, what? What are you?
Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I, the world-famous great detective in waxwork, Sherlock Sholmes. Sasato-san! Sasato-san! She fainted. my most humble apologies.
I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment, via London.
My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point. As long as it's not of questionable street food quality.
I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes?
Merely a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved now.
Largely solved?
Yeah, what's the rest of it? We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise. Or any food so far today, for that matter.
You hungry?
That stomach rumble echoed around a whole museum. So how did you manage to solve it so quickly? Well, do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone?
Oh yes, it's the most modern invention, allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet.
This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned. That's amazing! Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event.
Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no?
Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive.
But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary?
A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Tuspel's at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all. Poor Iris. Now then, though I sense that you have some business with this great waxwork. Yes, we do.
Talk to him.
Enoch Drebber. We're in the process of trying to track somebody down. Oh?
Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine.
A swindler and an engineer? Quite the modern man. He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. We have so few clues to go on, that's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas? I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance at least, I may be in a better position to help. Yes, Trevor's appearance. Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it. Well, let's present something to him. Oops, I don't want to do that. Here's what he looks like, Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print? Because every time I do, it makes me laugh. It doesn't quite work.
It's of Mr. Enoch Drebber, the face of the engineer we seek.
Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive. Are you all right, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed. Casual reverse racism.
Oh boy.
What? Where?
What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden.
All right, well, let's talk to him about it.
Well, talk to Cosmo. Talk about Cosmo's death.
All Englishmen look the same. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? My dear Mr. Nalhedo, stay that piercing stare. What is this about?
Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, Your words were very clear.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder.
You told us that it was murder, and you examined Cosmo-sama's body.
Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today. The victim, Kazuma Asogi. You're quite sure?
He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead.
Well, I could only assume that I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all. Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruto? I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake, but not you, Mr. Sholmes. I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruto. Will you indulge me? Oh, well, what is it? As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains. Oh yes, the Professor exhibit, isn't it? Would you like to see it? For mere 5 shillings? That's a special one-time only price, you understand. What? The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor?
Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone.
The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it. Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? Surely you need only look at my expression to ascertain if this is seriousness or silliness. I can never tell with you, that's the point.
Very well. It couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings.
Gratefully received. So, the special exhibits awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse it at your leisure. Adieu. All right.
Well, the money's been spent, so let's go and see a special exhibit.
All right.
Here
Open
goes.
up.
Here goes nothing.
Through those heavy curtains at last.
Let's go.
Can we move to the random for cells? Yeah, we're gonna have to examine it and open the curtains. 5 shillings we've had to pay. Doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket, does it?
No. Oh, we could ask Gina to retrieve it for us, using her special skills.
Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives? Is this what makes Britain great? Phrasing! Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands, or chip-loving inspectors.
Inspector Gregson comes off rather well on that list, I think.
Okay, here we go. Open the curtains and... 23rd of October, Madame Tuspel's special exhibit. Oof.
Woo! Whoa!
Oh my.
What in the... Oh dear, I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here.
Mrs. Sato! I say we turn on our heels and go straight home via a really big confectionery.
We We certainly can't do that. We've paid 5 shillings already.
True. Actually, now I'm looking a little more closely. We've paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place.
This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved.
Oh. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings' worth of investigation, shall we?
Yes, we won't get what we paid for.
Is it fear or frustration that's making Sato-san's voice tremble? Well, let's get a look at this guy.
This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real.
It seems to be a young man in a white overcoat.
And he has a large shovel in his hand, too. Look.
Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail.
Yeah, of course. Look around. What's that camera?
I mean, there's a camera here, yeah. What's this here?
Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera.
A camera? But it's so small. British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints?
I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man be in a graveyard at night with a camera?
I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film.
We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think.
The camera has been entered into the court record.
Camera from around the neck of a waxwork in a Madame Tussauds special exhibit. By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken.
What's a photographic plate?
It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If you open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look.
You should see yourself, Sasato-san. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? Alright, well, I mean...
What about, where else can you investigate? What's this?
That's quite a large lamp the man's carrying. Where's the lantern? It's not unlike a Japanese coach and paper lantern, actually, is it?
Lamp, lantern, chokchin. The point is, it casts very little light. To be walking alone in a graveyard at night with only this, well, I certainly couldn't do it.
I'm not sure I could visit a graveyard at all. Even in broad daylight, to be honest.
Put in the grate in Great Britain.
Yep.
What's
Okay.
that? What's that shovel there?
Yeah. What's that shovel there?
What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with a shovel in the graveyard in the middle of the night?
Mrs. Sato?
Yes?
That's a spade, isn't it?
No, it's a shovel.
No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
We've been through this, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a shovel.
No. Although we haven't considered trowels.
We've allowed ourselves to be distracted, I feel. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement.
So we're gonna bury the hatchet? You're right, though. What was the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question.
Look all the way to the top, all the way to the bottom, everywhere in between. What's this?
I can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just...
Oh, do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry.
Oh, God. What the? What the?
Ah!
What on earth? How can...
I don't believe it! A black monocle!
Mr. Naruhodo, is it possible that this man is...
Yes! It's Enoch Drebber!
The color of his hair is different, but...
It's unmistakably him! Indeed it is. Mr. Sholmes, this man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And why does the convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head, tout de suite as the madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry iris still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ah!
Do you know, though, something about this room is strange.
Strange? What do you mean?
Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not?
Indeed they are, Mr. Sato. Do go on.
And, as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't ever really have happened, could it?
I think it's time I educated you a little about the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. Ah! Alright, let's talk to him. The resurrecting convict. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, every one being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies.
Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful!
After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? So you mean that the professor's identity... As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he'd been held. However, that was not the end of the affair.
Oh!
The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Huh? He came back to life! He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as described by the sole witness to those chilling events. There was a witness? But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen? The young witness. So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old.
It's so horrifying.
Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, shown in the photograph we have of him. His hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tuspel's.
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night.
Yes, what was he up to? Following the execution, the professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, No killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. Was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale.
But why did people stop believing it?
Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution.
No! But that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers.
That would appear to be the only logical explanation. Yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society, and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking, then, he should resurface now. Don't you think? Of course the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. Trevor's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie. Indeed.
So where do we go now?
Well, let's go into the court record and take a look at that camera.
Yes.
Oh, look, the cover came open.
Yes. Now, there should be a glass plate inside. You have to change the plate with each new photograph you want to take, you see?
Is something wrong?
There's no plate. It's been removed.
Ah, what a pity. But I suppose if you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera that was used at the time. Just like the waxwork isn't the actual person. So we'd never have found a photographic print of the executed convict coming back to life anyway.
Oh, yes, you're quite right, of course.
Of course, Asado-san, she looks devastated.
What a wonderful machine.
You really love contraptions like this, don't you?
Oh, yes. Anything mechanical I find absolutely irresistible.
Almost irresistible, surely.
Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart.
That's worrying.
Yes. Father tells the time by the rumblings of his stomach now. He's given up having a watch.
Poor Professor Mekatoba.
Wait, there's
What
blood.
the hell is this?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo.
What is it?
On the bellows just here. There seem to be some very dark red stains.
Yes, you're right. It looks like blood, actually.
Oh my.
I'm sure it's not what you're thinking. The details of the camera have been updated in the court record.
When their lens is extended, dark staining is visible on the bellows.
Wow, that could be the professor. That could be the professor's blood.
Yikes.
Let's look at this real quick. Oh, there's a little hole here. Ah, look here, Mr. Sato.
Oh yes, the witch cracked and broken a little. I suppose because it fell from such a height?
Yes, from the height at which the balloon was flying, down into the crystal tower below. Fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters.
Leaving the man inside tragically dead.
Details of the wooden birdcage have been updated in the court
It
record.
crashed down with the victim inside into the crystal tower, causing damage to its base.
But here's the deal. Remember we saw the trial the other day?
Yeah.
Last week.
Yes?
Didn't the victim land on his head? So why is that broken?
Gee, I wonder that myself.
Alright. Let's see what else we're gonna do. Examine.
This must be the killer. The fiend known as the Professor.
Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Tuspel said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place.
I know. It looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail.
Yes, of course. Right
There's
there.
that.
So this is a condemned man.
Yes, the so-called professor.
Then perhaps His head was chopped off by a guillotine, but unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost.
Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mrs. Sato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see?
Then, perhaps Mr. Sholmes absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it.
That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum.
And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. Quite a big piece, too.
Oh.
Hey, wait a second.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you don't think?
My goodness. It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than normal window glazing, I'd say.
Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder?
I suppose it must have been made of thick to increase its strength.
But why?
Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example.
Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of that glass was broken too.
You don't mean...
Exactly. The Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition.
But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxwork's jacket?
It makes you think, doesn't it? A piece of broken glass has been entered into the court record.
A small fragment of very unusual and thick glass that was found in the folds of the clothing of the Professor Waxwork. It would appear to be from the Crystal Tower.
Earlier in court, we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick, and now we discover this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence?
Well, what now?
So we're backing out.
Ah!
What a bleeding horror, Otto! What have you gone and done?
Gia, what are you doing here?
I asked Iris, and she said that's where you'd be, so...
Gina! Not so loud in the museum!
Madame Tusples will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern.
Well, I still have some flesh powder left from 6 months ago, so...
All right, Gina, we understand. But please, put down the gun.
What is going on?
Oh, boy.
Sorry, I got scared.
You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina?
What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found the dodgy cob's workshop.
What? You found Drebber's workshop?
Yep, Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now in a drag, so come on. Here's the address. I got a boss to write it out.
Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once.
All right, and see you there.
Da-da-da-da-da-da! Charge!
Wait, what?
You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. In the exhibit over there.
Oh, dear. Someone is feeling sorry for himself.
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming. Your words hearten me, I must say. But if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense, and Iris's dinner plate would be empty once more. Forget that! I'll pay for everything! Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. No offer to share the cost from Mr. Sholmes, then.
I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thank you, Mr. Sato. Right, let's go!
You heard the man.
Da-da-da-da-da, charge! 23rd of October. Enoch Drebber's workshop. Size of this thing.
What the hell?
That looks like...
Oh, it's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Indeed, it would appear so, though only a prototype naturally.
So you got here then?
Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time, you've really worked miracles.
It's Toby here who's a miracle worker.
Thought your lot would sort before long.
Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. Looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips.
So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. He didn't find his soul in here. Oh, what a shame.
Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate.
According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that your lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say brought to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I?
Thank you.
Anyway, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I get cracking. Lord Van Zeeks and the forensic investigation team are on their way to here as we speak.
Them again.
I imagine you got the picture by now. You don't take too kindly to lawyer types.
Right.
So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance.
Yeah, Shawms.
Pardon?
Take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers.
Very droll, Gregson. Very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model.
Oh, Jesus. Right then, let's see what we can find in here.
Fine. It's that quiver.
Yeah, I know. Well, I want to look at this too first.
It's a trophy.
Ah, this appears to be a most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say?
It's an impressive looking back massager, that's for sure. I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away.
It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Ah! Would you like a massage?
No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing.
I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks.
I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Miss Naruto? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course.
He's not gonna let that go, is he?
It's curious though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times.
Science trophy has been entered into the court record.
Royal Society Trophy for Excellence in Science that was found in Mr. Drebber's workshop. It's a very prestigious award for a young scientist.
We'll look at this real quick.
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruto. That machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. There will be serious repercussions if you were to examine it from the Crown and the government. Well,
Well, those two don't seem to be holding back.
It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow.
No loose change dropped from the floor or nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fella.
British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they?
I think that's just these two, Miss Sasato.
Well, let's
look at this. It's a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside.
Oh, do you suppose? Crossbow bolts, these. Just the right size for the bow your lot turned up at the exhibition grounds.
In other words,
Yep. That's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Dad was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam.
the tales of the crossbow have been updated in the court record.
It belongs to Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Let's talk to him. I guess we already talked to Gregson. Bedtime for me. Have fun, lads. Yes, get some rest, man.
You're gonna need it.
It's 2:30 in the morning. Thank you so much, though. And watch the rest of it on YouTube after the fact. So let's see. What's this? What on earth is this?
An aeroplane, Mr. Naruhodo. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies.
Is that how the trick will be described, is it?
Sorry?
Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it?
Oh, well, this model is, yes, but a real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky.
Well, suspended from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in midair unsupported. Oh, yes, they can. Just need a little wind.
So to you, the solution is ever taller towers.
I don't know about that.
What's up there?
So what about this? What's this door back here? This door doesn't want to open.
Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it.
There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets here.
With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute.
Well, you don't have permission. And no one's giving it to you.
Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that.
Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side.
No, Drebber must have fled at the first sign of danger. Uh-oh. What the hell?
Oh,
Something wrong, Mrs. Sato?
well, I thought he heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too?
Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby?
Right, mind the grease. Whoever's in there, open up! This is Scotland Yard! Uh-oh. What the? Oh my! Someone is in there! Ugh! That's rotten bleeding luck!
My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were countenanced, I could unlock that door in less than a minute.
Ugh! Fine. I don't think they're up for it. Just get us through that blasted door.
Click. There, you may enter at will. You've confused minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for?
Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency.
There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. And here we go.
What?
Whoa.
Oh. My God. A bomb.
What's happened in here? Why is everything upside down?
Rats. There ain't no one in here after all.
But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises.
Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away.
But there's only one door into this room.
And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high.
Uh-oh.
Huh? What's that up there? Are they footprints on the ceiling?
No, me. What have we here then? Looks like someone was trying to bump something in a hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints.
To what?
To that Professor Herbert's bounty machine of it! Blame me! If we had these, there had been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal.
There is something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. Huh?
We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrive too.
All right, well, let's take a look. There's a balloon up here. That's a really lovely model. Looks just like a real flying balloon.
I think it's probably staying aloft on the same principle as a full-size balloon using gas.
A green flying balloon. It does have the hallmarks of that amazing deception at the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Could it be that the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? There's no denying it, is there? They're footprints.
Yes, it would appear so. And I simply can't imagine how they came to be there.
Isn't there a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, I mean.
I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruhodo.
That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose.
Almost every piece of furniture is upside down.
Even Mr. Sholmes' suite isn't ever in this much of a mess.
You're in no position to comment on mess, Mr. Naruhodo.
I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? I mean, it's not messy in here per se, it's that everything is literally upside down.
But why? What's this bomb doing? What is that?
Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Miss Naruhodo. Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a large watch meter. Ah! Mr. Sato, what's the matter?
Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? Ah! Did you say?
A time bomb?
Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? You are truly one of a kind, Miss Naruhodo. I won't take that as a compliment.
You don't know nothing, do you, Otto?
You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance.
Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it?
I see. So that's it. Huh?
Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter?
There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself.
Uh-oh.
But I have learnt to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mrs. Sato.
I'm not...
Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming.
Me too.
Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Drebber himself.
Oh, but how could you?
And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is without question completely genuine.
Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything.
It would be a pleasure. After all, it is great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway.
Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done.
You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Mr. Sato.
Oh, yes, I'd be delighted.
So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
Well, guess what time it is, folks?
Yep, let's do it.
It is time for the Great Deduction.
The game is afoot.
Topic 1. Flipped furniture.
Gotta hydrate for this one. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling before falling straight down to the floor.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that...
Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. But the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality.
Goodness!
The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business.
Wait, what?
I quite understand your skepticism, Mr. Sato. I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact.
But then why does it have a clock on it?
A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically, and the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that the restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device.
What?
So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Okay.
Conclusion. Because gravity was reversed. Not sure about that. Topic 2. Missing engineer.
Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain these actions is above our heads.
Yes. How is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling?
A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight.
What?
Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there is but one way into this room, except in the skylight, that is.
Huh.
By inverting the gravity in here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way.
But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently?
Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope.
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope?
Wait a minute.
By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling, which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun.
Escape via the skylight? I'm not sure about that.
Didn't we hear a rather large clanging noise? Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle.
You said that this takes long, right?
Yeah, it always takes a bit. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there is just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean? I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge of the turn of the 20th century, it is no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem.
Where did I hear that before?
It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mrs. Sato lent me once.
Objection!
Objection! Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, the spell's broken at last.
The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it?
Indeed it was. It lonely coils near the wall.
But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall?
Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we face in this room, now skillfully unraveled. That argument is as circular as the coils of rope.
I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth.
Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly before Enoch Drubber gets too far away. If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Sholmes's logic and reasoning spectacular.
Get ready, my brother. It is time for course correction.
Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Okay, flipped furniture because gravity was reversed. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling before falling straight down to the floor.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that...
Indeed, the key here
Wait a minute.
is gravity. Yeah, I saw writing on that chair over there. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality.
Goodness!
The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business.
To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room, I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation.
But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility. So,
Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once.
ooh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mrs. Sato.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he?
While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices.
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing.
Well, take a look.
Look at this. Well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure.
Ah, look at that!
I know, that slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say?
To be honest, Mr. Naruto, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me.
The fact that it's standing upright. Take that! Haha. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Miss Naruto, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say, though it appears at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down, this unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there is nothing affixing it to the floor.
Oh, is there?
He's talking about the vase. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss.
Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes.
But the show must go on. So, let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device.
No, not this.
He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he?
I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong.
Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason.
I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though.
Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Look at this. Safe combination. Look, there's something written on the underside of this armchair.
Oh, yes! Safe 432582.
Safe? As in safe and secure?
As in secure lockable box, I think.
Admittedly, more likely.
Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes.
So you mean this number would let us open it?
I wonder why it's written here, though.
Well, take that! Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruto, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book, just in case. That's it, for people are forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of important information.
Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think.
And what, pray, happened next, Miss Naruto? When the day of the draw came around, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in, and then turned my ruin upside down to find it. That's it, for people are forgetful souls at heart, and always forget where they've noted things down.
Not if you always note things in the same place.
I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into, so I had to turn my ruin upside. Thank you, Mr. Naruto, but I believe I've proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. And he remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one, leading to the state in which we now find the room. Yes, Mr. Trevor overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe.
To find the safe combination. That's solved.
Yeah, so if he was trying to find the safe, what the heck was he trying to do with it? Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads.
Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling?
A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight.
I don't know about that, not the skylight. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there?
Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve.
I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Ooh, life was so much simpler in those Halicon days when gravity couldn't be reversed.
It was minutes ago, and those Halicon days never existed in the first place.
Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail.
Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place.
Well then,
take
if
a
it's not
look.
the sky,
Oh,
what the
look
hell?
at this.
It's a shoe.
It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there. Look!
Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think?
If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though?
Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid.
Yep, so...
Take that!
Take that! The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylighted ore, but the balloon.
But for what purpose?
A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar data. Ah!
It was a piece of a green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene.
And inside the green balloon that Mr. Master Gotts claimed he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception.
You mean to say?
If we assume that the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there is a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach, hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Most probably Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights.
Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside.
You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope.
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope?
I don't know, there must be another tool. Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope.
All right, I have to admit that was clever. So just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground.
Which is much easier said than done, I feel, and could take us a very long time as well.
True, perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? The crossbow.
Aha.
Take that! Yup. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow?
That was found at the scene, in fact.
And in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? Bam! Pop! Oh! It's the professor's head!
Whoa! Oh!
What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside, that means.
Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh, goodness!
I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Sato. Excellent. Of course! A headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you've largely solved, it was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was, but I believe Madame Tuspel's will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes.
But why is it here?
This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tuspel's and returning it, sans Tate earlier today, was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. Like all of these cases are. The waxwork head has been entered into the court
The
record.
head of the Professor Waxwork that was stolen from the Madame Tuspel special exhibit. But
Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure.
the architect?
You mean Mr. Drebber? as it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights. Obviously, the man must still be here in the room.
What?
And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction. Enoch Drubber is right here, somewhere in this room.
He's got to be in the safe.
Of course he is. So, Mr. Naruto, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drubber's hiding place must be the
safe.
Take that!
Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here, which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe, and pressed for time made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process, from which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber,
Ready.
who's who,
Okay.
is at this
very moment inside the safe.
Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle.
Inside the safe.
Solved.
Deduction complete.
Elementary.
Elementary indeed. Now,
Okay, how are you going to do Enoch Drebber's voice, I wonder?
what is he like?
So, Mr. Naruto, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. Combination was
432582.
I knew that. All right then, here goes.
There you are, you piece of shit.
Come on out, you're under arrest.
You found me. Must be a robot of some sort. Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume. Correct.
You better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built.
And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Man of Tuspells as well. Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions, personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first.
Deactivate?
Your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. Oh! I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me, then? No! Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare!
That was too close for comfort. I've got one foot in the grave already.
You're trying to help us get a killer or get us killed.
Mr. Sholmes' seductions can be completely life-altering, can't they?
Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say.
Anti-gravity devices don't exist.
Whew. I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. All right, talk you lark. What happened here? What on earth happened in here?
You've found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems.
Yeah? Well, we'll be giving it to a thaw going over. Don't you worry, Drebber.
What What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling?
Ah, that would have been me.
Oh,
For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips.
clearly I must have a screw loose though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down.
We also found a rope over by the wall.
Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So, I then set about searching for the combination code to open the safe.
And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe, having first set this parcel ticking.
Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police.
The time bomb.
Got justice, have you? Hiding right behind a ticking time bomb.
Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it.
So, in fact, the safe was the only safe place.
Precisely. But once you climb inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within.
Ah, so it is.
I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans.
You mean to say you're planning to blow us all up?
No. That was unforeseen.
What do you mean?
Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet.
Ah,
I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works.
is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face beside the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth? Jesus Christ. I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on in here now. But what about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Hairbrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to.
That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong, I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection. After all,
That's enough!
That's enough! What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here.
Yes, well,
Dr. Scythe again. So the forensic investigation team are here.
And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once.
My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to get an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe?
Hello, Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe? If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell. You...
Get out!
But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Narhardo. Yes. It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes! Let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. Huh?
I said get out! Now! All of you! Your presence here is not required either, Gregson.
Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed.
Inspector!
Whoa! Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Clever?
Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one.
Aye? What are you... That one? You mean...
What the hell?
Get out of there! It's gonna blow! What the? No! Ah! What the hell?
Oh my God!
The machine exploded!
It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage of the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever.
Oh,
that bastard.
He's not gonna get away with this.
To be continued.
We got to wrap this up, folks.
Yep, we're closing in on 3 hours, but dude, it was worth it.
Holy shit.
Okay, you want surprises, you got surprises. You wanted excitement, you got excitement. You wanted drama, you had drama tonight. And next week, we are going to put this case to bed.
That's right. You better get ready to strap in, folks.
It's going to be a bumpy ass ride. So, I'm the Cannonball Alex Steele.
I am the package, Andrew